Okay, I think it's working. Uh, we shall see. Um, but here's hoping it is, because I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, it's working. Good. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. So, that's super fun. But I'm glad it's working because I spent 4 minutes panicking over it. Anyway, welcome back to my live stream. Uh, Sorry, just give me a second to reblog everything on Tumblr, do all the usual futzing. We are back writing Vogue, which I have been writing for the past month, and I'm nowhere near completed, so that's whatever. But we are gonna get there eventually, which I'm looking forward to because I'm really excited to post this once it's finished. And for you guys to read it, because honestly, I haven't had this much fun writing a fic in a long time. I say that about every fic, but this one I'm rather excited for. Um, since the last time I did a live, I've written about 12K words. So we're gonna jump off from a brand new point, which is good because you guys don't get to see the whole thing and you have to wait until I finish this. Um, but you do get to see snippets. Uh, like I have said like 500 times, feel free to comment or ask me questions or message me on Tumblr or anything you want. I will be here for around the next hour doing this live stream. My apologies for the technical difficulties in the beginning. I just don't know how to use YouTube from a creator perspective. So, all right, let's get going. For context, for where we're jumping off, the OC is pulling up at Yoongi's house in Brooklyn, New York, because all of my stories are set in New York because it's my favorite city in the entire world. So, uh, but yes, feel free to ask questions, say hi. I'm saying hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I know this is super low key, so feel free to just like relax, put on some music, turn off my voice or whatever. You just want to see me write. You know, it's all good. There's no judgment here. So we are just going to get started writing. Ask me questions if you have any along the way. Otherwise, I'm mostly just going to use this a as a means of writing. I never know how to start new scenes. I always write about 5 different beginnings, and then I'm like, "You know what? All of these suck." So I write it again. But, most of the time when I'm not sure exactly what to do, I will just jot down thoughts in the hopes that something will stick, like throwing against the wall and hoping that something is uh, gonna stick and I'll keep with it. Right now, this may or may not get edited out or changed or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like every scene that I ever write needs like 500 words of exposition, which is really unnecessary and totally adds to my already ridiculous word count. But, you know, you just gotta do what you gotta do. I had no idea that this fic would already be this long. I just wrote, and then I checked my word count, and it was like 18,000 words, and I was like, shit." And I don't do internal edits most of the time. I will just wait until the whole thing's finished, and then I'll go back and cut stuff. Um, but I'm imagine myself having extreme difficulty with that with this fic because I feel like every scene is important. Um, but but it's not, and there are definitely some things I can cut out. Every time I've written something I kind of like, around halfway into the scene, I get completely stuck on where to go and end up deleting it. Well, hey, that's just like a natural part of writing. A lot of the times, and you guys don't normally see this part because it's at like 3 in the morning. Um, but a lot of the times I will write something and stare at it and be like, I hate this, and delete it all. Um, this has happened with a lot of my fics, but I rewrite the very beginning of the fic maybe 2 or 3 times. Some fics I've actually written nearly 5,000 words, gone back, deleted the whole thing, and just started over again. So I totally understand. I feel like that's a natural part of writing because if you really hate what you're looking at, it's not worth continuing to write it because the hate will just manifest itself into the next whatever else you write. So at least that's my mindset. But a lot of writers that I look up to often suggest a good way to overcome writer's block is to just write shitty stuff and then hopefully make something of it eventually. And even if you don't make something of it, just writing to get rid of writer's block usually works. So, yeah, but perfection is impossible. So I say if you are satisfied with at least 90% of your work, then it's pretty good. Because uh, writers, even published writers, like hate the stuff that they read. I remember when I was in middle school, I saw this interview from John Green where he said that after he publishes a book, he never opens it again. Um, and he doesn't even look at it. And I get that. It's like the feeling that once it's posted, anything you can't really change anything, so you might as well just leave it. Um, and I think about that a lot. Um, how do you motivate yourself to keep writing? Uh, I mean, honestly, sometimes I just have to force myself. There's this quote that I really like. I don't know who said it, so my bad, but it went like, if writers only wrote when they felt like it, they would never write. And I think that's very true. Because a lot of the times when I'm writing, I don't really feel like writing. I just know that I have to keep doing it. And I just like it's almost like schoolwork. I don't know if you are in school right now or anything, but with schoolwork, like you don't want to do schoolwork, but you know you have to. It's that sort of same mindset with writing, but it's not to me that's not an unhealthy mindset to have. I mean, if you really, really hate something, don't do it. But if you ultimately find pleasure in the act of doing it, even during the times when you don't want to do it, you should still do it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I have a really jaded mindset when it comes to writing. I'm just like, I'll just write. And if it's bad, then whatever. So, how do you come up with plots? I think I've mentioned this I mentioned this a while ago, but most of the time I take inspiration from anywhere. Like Moonlight Melody was inspired by the time I went to Italy and I saw a youth orchestra perform, and I was like, oh my God, I want to write a youth orchestra fic. Uh, so I take inspiration from anywhere, but in regards to actually constructing plots, I used to never outline my fics, and now I always I religiously do. So I don't know what past me was doing with her plots, but she was totally winging it the entire time, and I can't do that anymore. But when it comes to plots, the things that I usually have to flesh out almost instantly are the inciting incident, the climax, and the resolution. For those of you that don't know what an inciting incident is, it is the part of the story that sets everything into motion. Like, for example, in this story, the inciting incident would be when the OC hears that she has to work on a dress with Min Yugi despite how much she hates him. That's the inciting incident because that's pretty much what sets up the rest of the plot. I'm not going to spoil the resolution and the climax for you, but just for reference, the climax is typically the part of the peak of the action. So it's the most dramatic. It's like it's the confession or it's the big game or something, and the resolution is well where everything gets resolved. Either the characters do end up together or they don't, or maybe you don't have a relationship and it's just like a personal quest is resolved or something. Those are the things that I absolutely have to flesh out before I start plotting out a story, and then from there I build the filler scenes, which will consist of the exposition, the rising action, and the falling action. I have a post on my blog somewhere about Freitag's pyramid, which is something super nerdy that I learned about in 10th grade. It's under my writing tips tag. And basically, it's a pyramid used to analyze like ancient literature, but I use it to write. So that has a lot of those plot points are also very useful. I think fleshing out major parts of the fic is the easiest because those are the parts you're most excited about and the ones that you know the most about. And everything else, you just need to, it's just a means of like getting from point A to point B, if that makes sense. How do you maintain your time with everything? Well, I don't have the best time management skills in general. Um, a lot of nights I will just like not write um, because I'm busy doing last minute schoolwork or most recently playing Animal Crossing. Um, so I don't have the greatest time management, but I mean, I work really well under pressure and with hard deadlines, and so that typically is how I divvy up work in terms of academic work. I mean, I'm still in school, for a couple more weeks, and I still have a few more assignments to do, so, their due dates set up when I work on them. Like, for example, I have an essay due on Monday, and I actually haven't started it, which is bad, don't do that. Um, but that is what I will be saving all of tomorrow for. So it's really just a matter of sorting out your priorities and deciding what are the things that you absolutely have to do that day. I also have a bullet journal. It's a really nasty bullet journal. I don't think I'm ever gonna post pictures of it on Tumblr. It's super ugly. But my bullet journal also really helps keeping track of all of the tasks that I have to do. But honestly, I'm like not that great at time management. Like I will waste away most of the afternoon doing nothing, playing Animal Crossing or watching YouTube or something. So don't do what I do because that often leads to me staying up until 3 or 4 in the morning trying to write. And you shouldn't do that. You need your sleep. So love your Harry Potter fic. Thanks. I really want to write another one, but I just don't have a great idea at the moment. Um, so I'm thinking about that one. That's definitely on my next to write list after I finish posting Vogue. But honestly, I feel Vogue is sucking so much out of me right now that I can't even think about another Hogwarts AU. But I do really miss them. I think it's been over a year since I wrote Do You Want Me Dead, which is totally crazy. I feel like I just finished that series. Um, and I absolutely 100% miss writing it, but I feel like sucked dry for in terms of Hogwarts AUs because I wrote 7 and I like have no more ideas left. But there's something out there that I really want to write that I haven't written yet. So I'm gonna get there. I just Vogue is my priority. I can never write 2 fics at one time. I don't know how other writers do it. Like when I start a fic, that's my sole focus until I finish the fic. So but yeah, I definitely want to write another Harry Potter AU. It's been a long time and I miss them a lot. I've watched all the Harry Potter movies this quarantine and I really just miss the universe. So you will you are about to get a look at my favorite Google Docs feature, which is the define tool. Because honestly, most of the time I type a word and then I think, is that the right use of the word? And so I have to define it. Or I'll type a word that's similar to a word that I actually want and use the synonyms tool. Um, have you fixed? Have you? Oh, thank you. Have you done any original content apart from Fix? Admittedly, no, which is bad, and I really want to want to get working on like actual original content. But Fix are almost always my top priority because um, and this is the instant gratification monkey speaking in me because I get like immediate validation when I post them, and as a burgeoning author, that's really helpful and encouraging to see. So that's why don't really write original stuff, but I am planning on taking a creative writing course in college next semester. Seeing like assuming we go back, and I hope that that will be a good um, gateway into more robust original content. Because right now I just write fic. What Hogwarts has to you? I'm Ravenclaw. Yeah, go Ravenclaw. Um, as I was watching the Harry Potter movies a couple days ago, I was getting so mad at the very blatant Ravenclaw racism and Slytherin antagonizing that goes on throughout the entire series. I have problems with a lot of the Harry Potter series in terms of like morality and stuff, but I just hate the Ravenclaw racism the the maligning of Slytherin because both houses are great, and just because like Draco was seen as the the most evil student in the entire school doesn't mean that Slytherin is like the world's shittest house. Anyway, that's a topic for another time. I love all the houses. I just like the Harry Potter movies and books do a poor job of displaying house equality. So, yeah, I get like flamed about that. So, that's gonna be a topic for another time. While I was writing Sorted, I really tried to keep it even in terms of house representation. I think I included like a couple to like it couldn't all obviously couldn't be like exactly even, but I tried my best. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But Harry Potter is still great, and I think the magic of the universe is how I that's like it can be shaped and morphed into any sort of external story that it can be. Like not a lot of books have that sort of touch. Like I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. Like The Hunger Games sort of, but not necessarily because it was a very specific time period. Like old books like Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye. Like those books, you can expand the universe. And in Hogwarts, you in with Harry Potter, you totally can, and that's the magic of it. And my dream is to write a sort of universe where it can be expanded like that. I don't think I'll ever get there, but that's the dream. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep writing. Last time I did this, I wrote like maybe 500 words, um, but I still had fun. And I'm really happy to answer any questions that you have or that you send to my Tumblr inbox, which is also totally up for grabs if you would like. Okay, but Lunar Chronicles. You're right. You're right. I read the Lunar Chronicles. I started reading in fifth grade. And at that point, the last book, I think it was called Winter. The last book, whatever it was called, uh, the last book had not come out yet. I read the first three books probably within a month in fifth grade because I was a really avid reader when I was younger. And then in eighth grade, I got the last book for Christmas. And I think I read the entire thing that day, which was crazy because that book is like an 800-page book. And I just spent the whole Christmas day reading it. And I finished it that day because I was so desperate to get to the ending because I had been left on a cliffhanger for 3 years. So, yeah, it's a very like it's a YA book. It's rather juvenile in terms of like super deep lore and classic literature in terms of classic literature standards. But if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles, I totally 100% recommend them. They were really good. So, I mean, they were really good to like me as a 13-year-old. But also like Harry Potter was good to me as a 13-year-old, so take from that what you will. Soft, the one word that I consistently look for synonyms of. Ew, the first one's totally nasty. Mushy, squashy, pulpy, gross. I love The Great Gatsby. Oh my God, me too. That is like, out of all the books that I read in high school, that one is 100% my favorite. It was so good. I literally one of my Hogwarts fics is based off that story, because it's actually my favorite. Other the only other book that I read during high school that I loved as much as The Great Gatsby was The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know if you guys are super into old classic literature, but The Picture of Dorian Gray is written by Oscar Wilde, who was put into prison, arrested and put in prison multiple times for being gay, um, because he's an icon. And The Picture of Dorian Gray is basically about an artist have being so in love and obsessed with this gorgeous man's personality that that he paints him, and the painting comes to life. It's like it's like so good. It nearly verges on just straight up homoerotica, but it's gorgeous. The descriptions are beautiful. My favorite line out of the entire book is, "For as long as I live, the personality of Dorian Gray will dominate me." Like, I just love that book. That's like one of my top favorite books ever. So if you haven't read it, 100% read it. It basically it's nearly fan fiction, honestly. So I think you guys would like it. Did you read the Joy Luck Club in high school? I think I read it in. Did I read it in high school? I think I read it in middle school in the 8th grade. I don't really remember much about it, honestly. I do know that I liked it while I was reading it at the time, but I haven't read it since. But it was good. Now we get to talk about books. My favorite. Um, who is your bias in BTS? Everybody asks me this question, and it changes almost every day. But it's been solidly Taehyung for about a year and a half now, so I'm gonna stick with that. I do love all of them so much though, and every day I log onto Tumblr and I just cry because they're so perfect. Um, that's very like Twitter fangirl of me, but yeah, I do just genuinely love all of them, and honestly, at this point, I'm pretty much just like OT7 bias because they're all like so amazing and incredible. Um, okay, Neri's bringing up the Great Gym in Survivor 2017. When was that? That was when Serendipity dropped. When Serendipity dropped, I nearly straight up became Jimin biased. Um, but it was fine afterwards. Did you see Yoongi's live painting? Yes, it was so cute. I really enjoy watching their lives almost immediately after they come out because I'm currently learning Korean, and not having the subtitles forces me to try and tune into what they're saying and see if I can recognize any words. And it's honestly really helpful. My Korean class, it's like a blast. It's actually over now, which makes me super sad. Because I had so much fun. But um but yeah, it was just big fun. I really enjoyed it. Mm, yeah. Um, was it online? No. Well, I mean, we all got kicked out of our universities in mid-March. So for the latter half of the semester, it was online, but for the first half, it was in person. It was great. It was four of us. I'm a freshman in college. It was one freshman, one sophomore, one junior, one senior, and my professor, who I also love because she like incorporates BTS related things for me, which is very nice of her. And she totally doesn't have the right to make fun of me for it because she told us on the first day that she was part of the original HOT fan club. Um, so like she and I are kin. We relate to each other. Ooh, tender-hearted. That's a good word. I never use that word. I'm totally going to use that word. I wish we had Korean at my university. Yeah, honestly, I almost didn't. I tested into the Korean class because I had originally not planned on taking it, but I started taking it. I take Chinese and Korean because I hate myself and I'm crazy. And um honestly, Korean was like one taking Korean was one of the best decisions I've made in college because it was so fun, like taking it this semester. Um, for tips on learning Korean, if you do want to self-study, the website, I believe it's howtostudykorean.com, is really helpful. And I would also honestly, as much as everybody makes fun of Duolingo, I would recommend Duolingo. There's also a great textbook that you can personally buy. You don't have to like go to a school and buy it from your school bookstore or anything. It's called Integrated Korean, beginning 1 and 2. It's from Clear Textbooks, Clear spelled with a K, like the Kardashians do. I believe it was written by people in the UC system, and it's really comprehensive. And it comes with a workbook, or well, there's a match corresponding workbook. So, and the workbook activities are also really helpful. So, if you do genuinely want to self study Korean, I recommend those um, as tools because they're super helpful and um, very, they give a good like beginning, like an introduction to Korean. So, yeah, Korean is actually like not that difficult. If you can, once you learn how to read and write it, you're pretty much like that's the like the first barrier to get over. And learning to read and write Korean is super easy. You can watch a YouTube video and learn it in 5 minutes, because the it's not a character system; it's a letter system. Unlike Chinese, which is totally characters, so you can't really make a sound out of it. And each letter is the shape of your mouth and throat when you say the letter, which is really cool and something that the Korean king, Sejong, who invented Hangul, which is the Korean writing system, thought of to help commoners learn the language. So, and now we're commoners. We're all commoners who learn Hangul. So Japanese was hard to learn. Yeah, I bet. Japanese is one, like, I can't wrap my head around that language, mostly because kanji makes no sense to me. And like the idea that a character in Japanese could have multiple syllables as part of the pronunciation is totally whack to me as a Chinese, like a native Chinese learner. Because in Chinese and in Korean, one character, one little box shape is one syllable, but in Japanese, it's not always one syllable, which like I just can't wrap my head around. So, yeah, I not to promote um learning, especially in a really difficult time like this, but if it makes you happy, I think learning Korean is a really fun thing to do, and it also helps because the better you get at it, um, the more you can watch V Lives without having to wait for subtitles, and you can watch run BTS episodes and pretend that you're studying Korean, which is what I do every time I watch one. So, by the way, if you didn't catch my first live, although I don't know why you would want to watch it again, it is on my YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch whenever whenever you want. If you want, I don't know why. This is almost like a podcast, except you also get to see me type like 20 words per 10 minutes. Um, but if, I don't know, maybe you really like listening to people talk in the background while you do work or like clean or something. If you want it to be my voice for some very weird reason, you can. And this live stream will also be up on my YouTube channel after it's over, for you guys to watch. Um, yeah, just put it on if you are like cleaning or something. I don't know. I would never want to listen to my own voice while I was cleaning. It would be super weird. I wish my friends were like you. You seem really fun and interesting. Thanks. I try to be as comedic as possible because I think that comedic relief is really underrated as a form of um, happiness and making other people happy. So, yeah, a lot of people say that I'm like super outgoing, which I don't agree with because I'm a really big introvert and I love being in my home and not talking to anybody. And I'm a serially bad responder to texts. Um, but yeah, thank you. I'm glad you guys think that I'm fun and interesting because I try to be. I try to be as like amiable and approachable as I can be. Um, any writing advice for people who are just starting to write fanfics? If you go on my blog, you can check my writing tag tips tag. That has like every piece of advice from under the sun that I've been asked the entire time I've had this blog. But for people who are just starting out, I think that you must consider fan fiction as a separate genre from other types of writing, because it really is separate. There's nothing like it out there. Like, sure, maybe the plots are the same as realistic fiction or historical fiction, everything, but um, fan fiction is really different. And I also think that you really mustn't be afraid to post if you do intend on posting your work, because I mean it's the hardest barrier to overcome in the beginning, but without posting, no one gets to read it, and it helps build your confidence as a writer. Um, I began writing and posting fan fiction when I was like 13, so it's been a really long time. um, but I think just not being afraid to put yourself out there, and this applies for like literally everything. Um, Not being afraid to put yourself out there is really the best way to like blossom as a fan fiction writer. So that's what I have to say about that. But you can check my writing tips tag for like really technical things like how do you create titles or like how do you write dialogue and stuff, because you know that's more specific and also like more writing aspect specific. Um, mm, what was the first day of college like? I feel like I had a lot of first days, if that makes sense. I had like move-in day was its own first day. Orientation, first day, another first day, and then first day of classes, another first day. Classes, it was almost exactly like high school. Like you run around, you don't really know where your classes are, so you show up 5 minutes late. You just grab a seat and listen to the teacher. First day of classes is totally chill, by the way. The teachers just give you the syllabus, and then like will maybe start lecturing, but most of the time they just dismiss you. Um, but as for like the first day when you have to start interacting with people, the first day of college, everybody is overwhelmingly friendly, and if you are someone who is not equally outgoing, it can be really jarring and stressful to be in a room or like in your dorm hallway or in a courtyard, surrounded by other people who are all talking to each other. But everybody in college asks the same thing on the first day, which is, where are you from? Especially if it's a bigger school or an out of state school. Where are you from? What is your major? Where do you live? And what's your name, obviously. Uh, and so you pretty much say that to every person you meet for the first about week of college. Um, but honestly, I say that the best way to put yourself out there and uh, like not like hide in yourself, because in college you literally have to interact with everybody on the first day, is to just like do those standard four things and just try to be friendly and polite. People will make like other if you don't want to make efforts to hang out with people, other people will make efforts to hang out with you. Uh, but in terms of like for me, the first day of college was super exciting. I was really happy to be there. And I think going into college with that mindset is really important. Like if you go into college with the mindset that you'll hate it, um, you will more likely than not end up hating it. So I think you need to just be really excited for college. And I was really excited to go. I was so happy that like first week. So I think that really helped make a good first impression of college on me. What's it like having a roommate? This is very specific to me. I know a lot of people don't get as lucky as I do. But I loved my roommate. We got along really well. We're super close friends. We chose each other off the Facebook group after we were both admitted. Um, and she and I did get along really well. Our sleep schedules were totally whack for the first semester. She would go to bed at like 5 in the morning and wake up at like 10, and I would go to bed at like 1 and wake up at 8, and it was like not compatible in that sense, but we did get along well and we could communicate well, which is the two most important things you need in a roommate. You need to be able to coexist and communicate with each other when you have problems. Um, Even if you like aren't super best friends for life, like just being able to communicate with them is the most important thing. If you can coexist with them in the same room, that's the best. My dorms at my school are like the size of a shoebox, so it was very difficult to not be in each other's space all the time. Um, but we got along well. We had mutual agreements on the first day, or like the first week that you move into a dorm with roommates. Your RA or GA or whatever will come around with this thing called the roommate contract, and it's basically like things that you mutually agree on, like we won't share each other's clothes, or we will share food, or we won't play music past midnight or whatever. um and that's honestly, my roommate didn't really stick by the official roommate contract that we wrote, but we mutually agreed on things and we stuck to it, and that's really important. So in grad school, oh my god, I can't believe some of you guys are like so I don't want to say old, but watching someone who's much younger than you, I think is how I'm gonna phrase it. Yeah, definitely have fun in undergrad. College is fun. Yeah, college is fun. Just enjoy it. And if it's not fun for you, then make it fun for yourself. Transfer, choose different classes, change your major, make new friends. Like college is your time. Did you ever meet international students? Yes, of course. This is totally dependent on your school. I know some schools have a huge international student population and some schools do not. My school has a pretty decent, I would say 15 to 20% of students are international. And I met a hell of a lot. Yeah, I did meet a lot. I'm in a this is very nerdy. I'm in a K-pop dance group, and most of my friends in that group are international students from Korea. So, yeah, and I also have a really close friend from China. Um, a few close friends from China actually, but yeah, international students, especially if you want to be friends with them, are not difficult to make friends with. So, and they're all super nice and they come from cool places and they have new things to tell you about like their view on life. And I think that's the best part of college is meeting all these people and figuring out how they see the world in comparison to how you see it. Sorry, I'm just checking my word count. Still at 18,000 words. Hell yeah. This is gonna be weird, but did you ever meet any cute boys? Honestly, I don't have time for that right now. I don't really think about it. I mean, I do think about like cute boys. I am leaning towards the asexual spectrum, so I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it, but I can appreciate good-looking people from afar. Um, I would say yeah, there are cute boys everywhere, and it's totally dependent on your opinion of what cute is to you. Because it differs for everybody. So yeah, but I'm like not paying attention. I have friends who are boys, but those are just friends. So in case you guys couldn't tell, the roommate right now is it's Namjoon. He's also in my character bios on my Whips page. If you would like to go see more information about him, um, I think he is my favorite character construction. Uh, Out of this fic, I mean, I love all the character constructions, but his is just like funny and quirky, and I love that. Love that about him. So, but yeah, this is a roommates AU as well because oh, I just love their dynamic and relationship. So, Nanjun is your bias. Great bias choice. 10 out of 10. Uh, in regards to the fic, I originally planned for it to be out by the end of this month. That's absolutely not happening because I still have over half of it to write. And I also have finals coming up, so I may have to put this fic on a little bit of a moratorium while I do all my finals. But hopefully, it will be out soon. It has been a long time since I posted something. My apologies, but I don't know. I have literally been working on this fic for like a month, and it's a beast, and it's going to be so long. And I'm contemplating splitting it into two, just because it is so long, and I don't want it to be one of those fics that like Tumblr makes Tumblr crash whenever you try to reblog it. So, um, so I might end up splitting it, not willingly, but just like for the sake of Tumblr's survival as a platform. Um, because I know that there are people experiencing technical difficulties in terms of reblogging with If I Told You, which is only 22K, and this is already 18K, and I'm not even halfway finished it yet. So I may have to end up splitting it, which makes me sad because it's like meant to be read as a one shot. But um, if I have to split it, I will. I will find a nice place to. I'll chop it up and post it. If I do split it up, don't worry, you won't have like weeks to wait between the first and the second part. I intend on splitting it up after I finish the whole thing. So you'll probably only have like a week to wait between the two parts. This is totally, I don't know if you guys have all read wedding planners, but this is totally reminiscent of wedding planners. It's not the same fic, but as I'm writing it, it makes me think of it a lot. I'm very fond of the wedding planners. She's like an icon on my blog. So, and I hope you guys have read it too. If I had to recommend one fic for all of you guys to read that you haven't read, if you guys were like brand new to my blog, it would be the wedding planners. That fic is just iconic. Will it ever be topped? No, I don't think so. But maybe Vogue will come close. Who knows? Fix the crash when you're trying to reblog. Okay, listen. Moonlight Melody was really long. I admit it was like 50,000 words. It was super long. And when I split it up, it was still 25,000 words. My bad. I just be grateful that I didn't post it as just a straight up 50,000 word one shot. Otherwise, I don't even think you would be able to load Tumblr. So, but good roast. I appreciate a good roast. Once in a while, it puts me in my place. I'm gonna cut that, put that there. This is everything that I'm writing right now is like totally prone to like subject to editing, like mass editing. So if it doesn't appear exactly as it's written in the final product, that's why. Type the word min too many times. Oh God, I got into the habit of typing his full name because I did it a lot in the beginning of the fic. But I think we get the picture. I think we get the idea. I think we know his name by now. It's nearly 10:30. I'll probably keep this live on for a few minutes after 10:30, just to account for like me speaking to you hearing it discrepancies and stuff. And if you guys want to ask any last minute questions, go ahead, knock yourself out, because you know I could talk about everything for 10 years. How do you come up different with different names when you are writing? Names as in like side characters, or titles. Because titles, I just like I do the thing that every author does, which is like pick like a random phrase from the story or like a major plot point or like a symbol or whatever, or the summer like I just summarize the story in a few words. That's what I do with titles. But for names, honestly, I just think of them. A lot of the times I use idols as side characters. A lot of the times I just like pick a name. You know, there are so many random name generators out there, and they are my best friend. Um, One random name generator I absolutely love, and this is totally weird and niche, is The Sims. Like on The Sims, you can randomly generate names, and they are super diverse with their names as well, first and last. So I honestly, some of the names on there are like genius. But shout out to the Sims team for coming up with them. How do you decide on the specificity of settings in fics? Really dependent on what the story's about. Because I mean, a lot of the times I'm just broad. Like if it's a college IE, I'll just be like, they're at a college somewhere. Usually put it in a cities, but that's just my personal preference because I go to a college in a city, as opposed to like middle of nowhere Nowheresville. So, but some fics are very specific, like Moonlight Melody. It had to be in Italy, like no discussion. This fic is half set in Paris, a little bit set in Paris, and a little bit set in Milan, but mostly set mostly set in New York City, which is where they both live. It's also, because they're fashion designers, it's also a big hub for fashion and the fashion industry. So I thought that was fitting. I also set a lot of my fics in New York just because I really love New York, and that's my favorite city in the entire world. Where do you go to college? I am not going to reveal that for personal reasons because, like, I do want to tell you. A lot of the times I really am close to telling you guys where I go to college, but it seems a little bit too personal for me right now. Just yeah. So I am going to keep that a secret. I will say it's a big school, and I have mentioned this before, but I do go to an Ivy League in the United States. So yeah, but that's it for everything. That's it for as deep as I'm gonna go as far as college. Uh, I don't think I've used the word chortles in any of my fics before, but it's a good word. I honestly like it. I mean, it's like a gusty laugh. That's what it means. Um, yeah, I probably am gonna stop the live relatively soon. So if you do have any last minute questions, feel free to send them to me in the chat now, or you can just uh, send them to me on Tumblr whenever suits your fancy. And I will always answer them. If I don't answer your ask, it's because Tumblr ate it. So just know that. Even if it takes me a couple days to answer your ask, I will always answer them. Um, so feel free to message me there, and feel free to hit me up, like throw in any last minute questions into the chat. Otherwise, I am gonna hop off relatively soon so I can keep writing afterwards because I'm so desperate to finish this fic for you guys. Um, and I'm really excited to post it when it's done. Sorry I just got here really late. Love your work. You're amazing. Thank you. Don't feel bad about like not watching a live or missing most of it or anything. I mentioned these will be on my YouTube channel if you do really want to watch them. Don't know why. And if not, this is not my primary form of interaction with you guys, and it never will be. So, and just you being there, following me, reading my stuff is the most important thing. Like that's all I as a writer could ever ask for. Where do you get your inspiration? I think I answered this in a writing tips tag, so check that as well. But like I said, literally anywhere. Um, Moonlight Melody was inspired by the trip I when I went to Italy and I saw youth orchestra. The coffee shop contract was inspired by a real life Instagram profile that my friend showed me, which was totally crazy. I can't believe someone's profile actually looks like that. I do take inspiration from pretty much anywhere. If it's inspiring to me, I will just write it down somewhere, like on my notes, my phone, or something. I also do the fic titles game ask game a lot. If you don't know what that is where you guys send me fic titles and I give you a plot that to go with it. And honestly, Vogue is actually from that game. So shout out to whoever sent me that, because it was really inspiring and I'm happy that I'm writing it. This is completely random, but do you like dim sum? And if so, what's your favorite dish? I do love dim sum, but I haven't had it. I don't. I used to be allergic to shellfish, and so would never eat it because I was just like scared that I would die. Um, so I don't actually have a favorite dish, but when I go back to college and I'm surrounded by good dim sum places, then I will get back to you and tell you what my favorite dish is. Yeah, I will field any last minute questions. I've said this like 4 times. Um, and end the live at 10:36. I'll end it at 10:40. So maybe I can write like for another 4 minutes if you guys don't have any more questions. And for the people that have just joined or like popped back in or this and that. Yeah, but my main form of interaction with you guys is always going to be Tumblr, and it's always going to be through reblogs, tags, messages, stuff like that. Uh, so don't ever feel like you're missing out on something by not watching this, because you're gonna see the finished product of this vid anyway. So gotta scroll up to find the M dash because I can't type it on Google Docs, which is something stupid, and I hope that they fix that. What's your favorite BTS song slash album? My favorite BTS song is Pied Piper. There's no contest, and I do genuinely think that nothing they could ever do could change my mind about that because it's my favorite song. And it's my most listened to BTS song by like a long shot too. Um, but if I had to pick my favorite, just straight up album playing on its own, not a repackage, would be Tear. But if we are including repackages, it would be Hwa Young Yeonhwa, Young Epilogue, Young Forever. So yeah, Hwa Young Yeonhwa, the Fire comeback was my very first BTS comeback as a fan. So it holds a special place in my heart. Um, but Pied Piper is iconic, and uh, when I did that like BTS chart bracket thing, it was totally gonna win. Like there was no question about it. I knew even just looking at it that it was gonna win. And what makes me so sad is that I will never be able to see a live version of that song because I can't go to any of the musters. Um, and that only breaks my heart a little bit. So it's okay. It's fine. I'll be all right. My friends make fun of me because I have like an unreasonable boner for Pied Piper, but it's a good song, and like there's nothing wrong with me loving that song. So okay, 1 more minute. Last minute questions, you guys. Otherwise, feel free to contact me on my Tumblr. My ask box is always open, and the anonymous feature will always be on. So do feel free to come message me about literally anything. I'm happy to respond. So I respond to everything. Um, but yeah, I had a fun time doing this. Honestly, I am gonna do this if you guys keep wanting wanting me to. Um, because it's fun for me and I hope that it's fun for you guys. And they will be on my YouTube channel if you guys want to watch them at a later date. Um, as like a podcast or something. Ooh, I should do a podcast. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I can't do like 500 things at once. I'm just like a Tumblr blogger. Um, okay, real quick, last question, and then I'm done. What do you do if you're starting to write a fic? Uh, like you've written some of it, you took a break. Honestly, anytime that happens to me, I delete what I have already written and rewrite it from scratch. Most of the time, because if I'm taking a break, it's usually because I'm dissatisfied with it and its direction. Um, and so I typically uh, will just like delete it and have a clean slate. It's hard deleting a fic, especially if you have like a lot of progress on it. But almost like every time I've done it, it has improved. Um, it has improved. Like the new version is much improved. So that's what I do. Um, but yeah, because to me, if you're taking a break from it, it's because you've gotten tired of writing it or you're dissatisfied with it. Um, and if either of those things are the case for you with what you've written, the best thing that you can do is start new. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for my live. I am gonna turn it off now. Um, Thanks for popping in. I can't believe that you guys actually want to watch, or like, I guess not watch, but listen to me speak as I attempt to write on my screen. I think that's super crazy because I'm just like a college kid who writes fan fiction on the internet. Um, but it really does mean a lot to me. And when I say that, I know I say it all the time, but it means a lot to me, and it comes from like really like a the part of my heart that like a deep part of my heart, and um, and it makes me super happy that I could even touch your lives for a moment. So thank you. Okay, I am gonna go. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to hit me up on Tumblr, um, or watch these lives over again on YouTube or whatever you want, and catch Vogue soon. It will be coming to you as soon as I finish it, which will hopefully be within the next few weeks, 2 or 3 max. Okay, promise. Goodbye. Thank you for tuning in.